Hello and welcome to this free mandolin lesson. Over the next 10 or 15 minutes or so, we're going to have a look at one of the most beautiful melodies ever written, in my opinion, and that is Over the Rainbow. Our core melody is going to sound like this. And then once you've mastered that, if you're feeling adventurous, we're going to do a more double stop solo mandolin style arrangement, and that will sound like this. All of the tabs and music for this lesson are all free. They're included in a free PDF, which is linked in the video description below, so you don't have to do any of this by ear. And just before we start learning the tune, it is an exciting time for me because I have some new music out with my band. My band is called Jaywalkers, and we have just released our brand new album. It's called Move On. I'm wearing the merchandise right now. You can get that in all of the links below. Any support you can give to help a band release an album is much appreciated. Let's have a very quick look at the core melody. We'll have a play through it and then we'll move on to the harder arrangement. So we have a sort of an A-B-A arrangement where the C part is kind of the same as the A part. So I'll just have a little look at the A and the B part and then we'll play through it together. So nothing too difficult in this melody. If you're reading tab for the first time or if you're new to reading tab, it's important to know that any note with a circle around it in this music is worth 2 beats. In American terms, it's a half note. In European terms, it's a minim. So it's worth 2 beats. So when you're playing this opening bar, if this is the beat, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you have to make sure any note with a circle around it lasts 2 beats. How you count that is up to you. You can tap your foot. I sometimes do a little ghost breath, so to keep you in time. I'll have the metronome going so you can just follow me. There's nothing too difficult in the A part if we just have a look from the top. So it'd be 3, 4, 5, 3, 2. And then that note, that's a circle around it without a stick underneath, so that's worth 4 beats. So your fourth measure is 1, 2, 3, 4. And those 3 notes, they're triplets. They're quarter note triplets, so they're not fast. Triplet does not automatically mean fast. It means you're trying to fit 3 notes where you would normally have fit 2. So we would normally have fit 2 notes in those 2 beats, and now we're fitting 3. So every note is 30% shorter. So So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's the timing of it. So it's not that kind of triplet, it's a slow triplet. In the B part, the melody speeds up a bit. Beginner mandolin players, try and play that phrase down, up, down, up, down, up. And then we have some long notes where the melody on its own doesn't make much sense because the chords are moving underneath, so I will overdub a guitar so you can hear the sort of harmony changing. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Here's the triplet. 2, 3, and again. 3, 4. 2, 3. Here's a C. Two, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Now we can start adding some double stops and moving that melody around the neck. So if you've never really done double stops, very quickly the theory is that if you, for example, if you take the first note of the whole tune, it's a G, and the composer has decided that over that note should be a G chord. Chords are kind of up to the composer. There's lots of different chords you can put above every note, but they have chosen a G chord. So a G chord is made up of G, B, and D. The melody is taking up the G, so we have a B and a D to choose from to make a double stop. So when you're doing double stops, you generally want to add another note from the chord. Not always, but most of the time that's what you're going to do. And I have chosen a B. And then we go to an E minor, and I've gone for a more of a chord, and then it goes to B minor, and then a G7. So at all points my double stops are following the chords. So you can either just play it as written, or if you want to try and write your own, that's always a good exercise. But that's where double stops come from. Just know your arpeggios. The other thing that we would do with a melody like this is see if there's any occasions where moving out of first position helps us to play something a bit nicer. So for example, the B part melody at the moment is all on one string. But what happens if we take that note, the lower note, the B, and stick it on the D string down as a 9? So we don't have to take any fingers off. We can get this. You can start having notes ring out. So we're not having da 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 da, we're now having da 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 da, sort of more legato feel. And we can now also get some double stops. So if your fingers are dexterous enough, you can put your middle finger on the 7th fret of the G string, little finger on the 9, and index finger on the 5. It gives you this. Now that is a stretch for the hand, I will admit, so don't overreach if your hand cannot quite reach that. So just feel free to do the 9, 5, 9, 5, 9, 5, 9, 5, 10, 5, 10, 5, 10, 5. It will still sound great. So a very quick look at each section, just to explain what's happening with finger use before we play the whole thing. So we start 5 and 4, and then an E minor chord, hopefully not too tricky, and then a B minor chord, a G7 chord, and then we go to C double stop, and then a C sharp diminished. So 6, 8, 7. That's a C sharp diminished. It's sort of a passing chord because it sounds like it wants to go somewhere. And then it resolves to this G, 4, 5, 5, which you do a little bar with your middle finger. Back to a C. This time a C minor, another G, and now we have an A7. If you did the A7 650 with your ring and middle, you then just move the same two fingers down to get the D7. So 650, 450, 4 and 5. And then the B part, this is the trickiest bit. So as I just explained, we're now down here. So middle finger on 7, little finger on 9, index finger on 5. For the first bar. And then the second bar, this is the hard one, we get 9 and 10. About halfway through switches to 7 and 10 because the chord changes. And then we have a G chord. So stay up there while you're on the 9s. And then A minor and a D7, and then a little reprise of the same thing. This time we go to a diminished chord after it, 8 and 4. And then our nice phrase where the melody is quite static but the chords are changing. So now we have this nice phrase. So now we have some little jazz chords instead of just a melody that goes. I'll just play that B part in full slowly so you can see it, and I'll zoom in on the hands. So 3, 4. To 10 and 9. To 10 and 7. Back to 9 and 7. And then to 4 and 8. And then to the B minor. And then we have a reprise of the A part. It's exactly the same. And then just this end phrase steals a bit of the B part. And then at this point, it's just a nice little phrase to end it. Just to make it a sort of a tune with a start, middle and an end. So I realise I've rushed through that arrangement. Maybe just have a pause of the video and try it. I've tried to put finger notations on how I play it, but finger notations are never strict. They're just what suits my hand, so don't feel free to ignore those. I'm going to put the metronome on and I'm going to play it so you can try to play along. But this is a difficult arrangement. Don't beat yourself up if you can't immediately play along with it. It took me a few goes this morning to learn this tune. So here we go. The solo mandolin arrangement of Over the Rainbow. 1, 2, 3, 4. C minor. 2, 3, and again. The B. To 8 and 4. Here's the C. And then our N, 2, 3, 4. So there you have our solo mandolin arrangement of Over the Rainbow. What a beautiful piece of music. It's tricky to play on the mandolin. That took me a few goes to get perfectly right. So it'll be a good challenge for any standard of player. Don't hurt your hands in the process. Just feel free to take some double stops out. They're not all necessary. I hope you've enjoyed it. We do these lessons every month, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit like and head over to mandomike.com for all of the other free lessons we've ever done. And we'll see you next month.